Good? All right. Welcome, everyone in the virtual world and all those people here in person. It's so wonderful to be with all of you. For those of you who don't know, my name is Joshua Berg, and I am so excited, elated actually, to be the part-time minister here at Emerson through May, allowing Reverend Matthew to take his much-deserved sabbatical. Feel free, please, to reach out to me anytime for any reason. I'll be in the office physically on Monday mornings and Wednesday mornings into the afternoon, but please feel free to reach out to me at any time for any reason, except maybe to fix something, because as my wife will attest, I can barely hang a picture. But other than that, feel free to reach out to me for any reason. I look forward to getting to know you all. You may have read in the e-blast or on the website of my intention to do a series of 3 sermons, which I'm actually going to spread out over the 5 months, one today and then a few weeks and another few weeks, based on the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr's Serenity prayer, which many of you are probably familiar with. And Niebuhr wrote about 3 things. He wrote about the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, and the courage to change the things we can, as you know, and the toughest one, the wisdom to know the difference sometimes. Now, his was a petitionary prayer, or prayer to a God, but I'm not going to focus on that aspect, given the different orientations in the UU congregations toward the idea of the divine. I am supremely excited today to be leading worship for the first time as your sabbatical minister. And it is also the beginning of a new year. And this month's theme is renewal. So, I'm going to call to worship today the first part of that Serenity prayer. Let us worship together this morning, calling up the sacred and the spiritual in the question, how might we begin to find the serenity to accept the things we cannot change in the context of new beginnings?
The chalice lighting words this morning are by Dorothea Kaufmann, written originally in German for the International Council of Unitarian Universalists, Global Chalice Reading. From the bottom of my very existence, I am pervaded with light energy, shining colors to my eye, warmth to my skin, inspiration to my soul. In this unity of creative sparks and sparkling creation, life unfolds. Let us open our senses to the light within and around us and send it out with shining examples into the world. If you would like to rise for the recitation of our covenant in English and in Spanish, and our opening hymn. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, thus do we covenant. La doctrina de esta iglesia es el amor, la búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento, y el servicio es su oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión, este es nuestro pacto.
Spirit the stirrings of compassion blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the land, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning. Welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Linda Fitzgerald, your worship associate today. I'm happy to welcome you in person and virtually. For 65 years, Emerson has been a beacon of liberal religion in the West San Fernando Valley. We acknowledge we are located on the land of Chumash, Tongva, and Kizh peoples, land which remains part of their lasting identity and heritage. Our existence as a spiritual community can never fully be understood without appreciating the depth of the loss of their land in generations past and the enduring hopes for the renewed vitality of these cultures in years to come. Emerson is a welcoming congregation and a sanctuary of love. We are happy that you're joining us here today. Whether this is your first time or your 500th, you belong here. It is good to be back in person here in our sanctuary after being online for so long. And even though our in-person times together may be paused by various strains of the virus that we've been suffering with for the last 2 years, we accept the things we cannot change and know that we will always be connected virtually, if not in person. No matter what, it is good to be together, however that happens. I've lost my place here. I'm also pleased to be here for Joshua Berg's first Sunday. His service as our sabbatical minister. Reverend Matthew is taking a well-deserved time away from his duties as our minister for the next 5 months, and he'll return in May. We're excited to welcome Joshua, and hopefully you will all get to know him in the months to come. I was happy to learn the title of this morning's worship service, New Beginnings, the serenity to accept the things we cannot change. I have been a member, consumer, and advocate of 12-step programs, and the Serenity prayer carried me through many stressful times when I was challenged to accept the things I could not change, praying for the courage to change the things I could, and the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference was the biggest challenge for me and my fellow self-willed compatriots. If you are new or visiting here this morning via Zoom, welcome. Please sign the virtual guest book in the chat area. We're so glad you found us. And please stay online after the service for our virtual coffee hours that we can get to know you better. The pandemic has changed the way we gather and how we define gathering. But even with our uncertainty of what gathering looks like, it's good to be with you today. Welcome. These offering words are adapted from Kristen Collins. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves, and to remember those who have gone before us. We give because we believe in music and memory and sacred space. We give with the faith together that we have enough. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the wider world. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. You have options for giving in the offering through the Give Plus app, donating at emerson.org, or mailing a check to the office. Do the ushers?
Thank you all so much for your generosity. It's truly meaningful. Thank you. There are many things that all of us hold in our hearts, especially now. It's like I imagine a chest, a treasure chest, overflowing. You can't close it. So the wonderful thing about beloved community and being in beloved community with people who support and validate each other is that we can open the chest and share some of these things. Some of our joys we can celebrate with other people, which is necessary sometimes. And our concerns we can share and empathize with each other and hold each other in our own heart's chest. So at this time, I invite you to add your own personal joy or concern to the chat online or to our in-person Book of Life, if you'd like. I believe there's also a link to a Book of Life. I'm just going to glance in the chat. Whoops. Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. I don't see anything there. David Early is happy to report that after her booster shot last month, his wonderful mother continues to enjoy excellent health at 87 years old with no reaction to the vaccine and the booster. We're joyful for that. Please send loving and healing energy to, is it Ina? Ira, I'm sorry. To Ira, my daughter Scarlett's friend, Max's dad, who is very ill with pneumonia in Tarzana, hospitalized. Please send loving and healing energy to Ira. Thank you. So just take a moment to hold those joys and concerns in your heart. I'm sure there are many others that go unexpressed. So please hold each other in your hearts.
When the storms come rolling in and the lights go out within and life is like a string of hurricanes. When it seems that all is lost and our home is blown and tossed, the will to carry on still remains. Though the cynics shout and rail, human kindness will prevail with the little things we do and say each day. With each tiny step we take and the choices that we make, together we can build a better way. Onward, moving onward, let hope arise like light in the dawn, turns to bright sunny skies, buying less and giving more, clearing refuse from the shore, are simple things that anyone can do. Turn the soil and pull the weeds, plant a row of tiny seeds, and tender shoots of life come breaking through. Grow a garden rich and green, feed the hungry and unseen, then find out what they need and give a hand. Take the time to listen well, unlock a lonely person's shell, break through the fear and try to understand. Onward, moving onward, let hope arise like light in the dawn, turns to bright sunny skies. Moving onward, keep moving onward, and hope never dies. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So beautiful. This is a reading from Alice Walker called Hard Times Require Furious Dancing. I am the youngest of 8 siblings. 5 of us have died. I share losses, health concerns, and other challenges common to the human condition, especially in this time of war, poverty, environmental devastation, and greed that are sometimes quite beyond the most creative imagination. Sometimes it feels a bit too much to bear. Once a person of periodic deep depressions, a sign of mental suffering in my family that affected each sibling differently, I have matured into someone I have never dreamed I would become. An unbridled optimist who sees the glass as always full of something. It may be half full of water, precious in itself, but in the other half, there's a rainbow that could exist only in a vacant space. I have learned to dance. It isn't that I didn't know how to dance before. Everyone in my community knew how to dance, even those with several left feet. I just didn't know how basic it is for maintaining balance. That African Americans are always dancing in their ceremonies and rituals shows an awareness of this. It struck me one day while dancing that the marvelous moves African Americans are famous for on the dance floor came about because the dancers, especially in the old days, were contorting away various knots of stress. Some of the lower back movements handed down to us that have seemed merely sensual were no doubt created after a day's work, bending over a plow or hoe on a slave driver's plantation. Wishing to honor the role of dance in the healing of families, communities, and nations, I hired a local hall and a local band and invited friends and family from near and far to come together on Thanksgiving, to dance our sorrows away, or at least to integrate them more smoothly into our daily existence. The next generation of my family, mourning the recent death of a mother, my sister-in-law, created a spirited line dance that assured me that, though we have all encountered our share of grief and troubles, we can still hold the line of beauty, form the beat, no small accomplishment in a world as challenging as this one. Hard times require furious dancing. Each of us is proof of that.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to start my talk with a brief meditation. During the solstice, oh, good, we're on the meditation slide. During the solstice, pagans remind us to let everything go and begin again. And we had our fire ritual. Many of you participated recently on the New Year to do the same, to let everything go and begin again. But in reality, we begin again and again every day, in every given moment. So, with this meditation, with the following, it's a breathing meditation, I'd like us to focus on just a single moment for a moment. Just focus on a single breath. So breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And as you are breathing, focus on the space between the end of one breath. Hold that space. Rest in that moment. Let it expand before taking the next, beginning the next breath. This moment, this space, this still point in between breaths is the true present. It is the great, it is the sweet, it is the beautiful, it is the wonderful darkness out of which everything is then again born, and to which everything then again returns. So linger in this space between breaths. The birth of life itself happening right then. Stay there in the stillness as an embryo would be swathed in the womb of its parent, perfectly content in that space, about to confront that next breath, about to confront the most amazing journey imaginable, life. Breathe in again to feel the energy of the potential of the journey into the unknown. And then please join me again. Our next hymn is number 1000, Morning Has Come.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide us on home. A new day dawns, once more the gift of Him. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace shines upon the faith. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I appreciate you allowing me to sing out as well, because I know I'm not the best singer. But when the Spirit moves you, you got to sing. At least I do. So, my eldest daughter is a senior in high school. So, over the New Year's break, my family and I visited some colleges to which she had applied. We went up north, San Jose, Berkeley, and we toured some campuses to which she applied. And as we walked around these very impressive campuses, I noticed something about my daughter's countenance that I had not seen in, I don't even remember when. I don't even remember when. And I didn't know what to call it at the time. Wonder maybe. Some might even say at that point, walking around UC Berkeley, San Jose State, all these colleges, that she was having a religious experience. For me, as a humanist UU, if there was a Google Translate for sacred words, religious experience translated into humanist might be an ultimately positive, a transformative experience of something inexplicable, often something unexpected, of awe that is active or passive, of awe which can be but is not necessarily effectuated. Are all humanists so wordy, Josh? No, just me. Let me see if I had to pick a single word to translate religious experience. This experience she was having visibly on this campus, maybe I would say she was gobsmacked. I like the sound of that word. No, wait. I would say she was moved. Moved. That's a good word for it. That's better. But whatever it was, it doesn't matter. I had not seen this expression in a while. It just amazed me. And in fact, I would bet that many young adults and children have had fewer sparks of this elusive magic energy that you see in their faces sometimes, given the times and especially the stress and strain of this year. And that's also why her reaction to being on these college campuses that I saw that day was so surprising, and it was so wonderful for me. Now, another person might not have noticed it. I don't know, maybe they would have noticed it, absorbed it, smiled, and moved on. But I'm a minister, so of course, everything is a sermon. And so here we are. I thought long about my daughter's state of being on those campuses, and I realized a few things about this energy, this magic countenance. This was happiness, and not born of delusion. And what I mean by that is, knowing her, I knew she wasn't forgetting or ignoring all the tribulations of the world. None of that was gone. COVID was still present as we all wore masks on a campus usually populated by thousands that was practically empty. The solar-powered trash cans and recycling receptacles peppered the area as a constant reminder that we're struggling with environmental issues. Remnants of flyers remain attached to those walls and kiosks, that you see on university campuses, calling for action on any number of issues, especially when we were at UC Berkeley. And none of the things in the greater society that made her stressed had gone away. They hadn't gone away. She wasn't delusional about it. She still had her senior year of high school to complete. She had the prospect of application. She had scholarships, getting along with roommates, learning to navigate a dizzyingly large campus, moving away from home, hours of studying that comes with college life. I hope my daughter isn't listening to this because she may be getting stressed. And everything else, everything else there was to anticipate with trepidation about this journey was still very present. Although I think she anticipates moving away from home, not with trepidation, but with elation. But nevertheless, I know she'll miss her mom and her sister. And her hands were cold one day. Her feet got tired as she walked, struggling to decode this frustrating campus map app that she had on her phone. So this countenance of wonder was not some altered state of mind or out-of-body experience where everything troubling just disappeared. It wasn't. It was a moment. In fact, it was many moments of just pure euphoria with complete acceptance of all of life's challenges. Indeed, I would say, a determination to accept and confront these challenges while choosing to focus on the knowledge that there would definitely also be plenty of good stuff in her future. This particular state of being also resulted from the fact that this was a new beginning. Just like we're having a new beginning, this was a new beginning for her. I remember feeling something similar the first time that I stepped onto the island of Manhattan to start a new chapter of my life, many, many, many years ago. So in becoming a college student, my daughter is starting over in a manner. She's rebooting. And when you reboot, what happens? Computer science people in the audience, your cache is cleared. When you reboot, unnecessary, even troublesome remnants of past experiences are deleted. Don't get me wrong, the experiences themselves stay in your memory for certain, but your system is freed of the residue holding back functionality, and you move ahead with renewed energy and positivity, like when you reboot a computer and it works better and quicker. Now, although my kid is not a computer, even though as much time as kids spend in front of the computer, I think some melding may have actually occurred, but nonetheless, she's not a computer. The positivity in that moment was at least in part generated from this anticipation of a reboot, of a new beginning, of a new start, which included an acceptance of challenges, an acceptance of things beyond her control, and a future containing surprises she could not possibly anticipate or know. She doesn't know what's going to happen, but she's looking forward to it. And it also included a greater focus, which we all need to focus on, something we all absolutely know that there would be for her, along with the challenges, many wonderful things ahead. That is for certain. To use an overused but appropriate aphorism here, when I saw my daughter's face that day, when I looked at it, I thought, if I could only bottle this energy and sell it, that excitement. In the midst of life as we know it, forever presenting us with trials as well as victories, she achieved the serenity to accept the things she cannot change. She achieved the serenity to accept the things she cannot possibly know, allowing her to welcome in the elation of those moments and welcome in the elation of the potential of the next moments. How can I recreate this energy, I thought? How can I put myself in that place? How can I help others, model for others to put themselves in that place? How can we have our own religious experiences? How can we accept and confront all of the bad head on while retaining more focus on the good, as my daughter did? And is that state limited to certain extraordinary and rare experiences, like visiting a college for the first time? That's the challenge. That's the challenge. How can we achieve that state? So, to help us along, let me continue. I'm going to stop the sermon for a moment to continue our breathing meditation, this time a little different. Hopefully this ritual breathing meditation will provide us with some insights, some nascent insights. So, we're still on a breathing slide. That's perfect. Let's go to the other one. Just a little change of pace. Oh, that's the offering. Be patient. I'm still learning. This is my first time. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you. So in just a moment, we'll begin. And this time, we're going to count our breaths. This time, we're going to breathe and count our breaths. One on the in-breath and two on the out-breath, and so on, up to 5. One on the in-breath, and up to 5, and then back again. And here's the key. If you don't get there, if you don't get to 5 because you lose count, or that you realize you've been thinking about pancakes, or the minister interrupts you, or for some reason you don't get to 5, just start the count over again from 1. The point isn't about getting to 5. If you somehow manage to make it there, you're just going back to 1 anyway. What the practice is really about is simply getting back to 1, to that moment. Noticing yourself drifting off in the dream, in this dream or the next dream, smiling compassionately at your ridiculously busy minds and all its madness, and returning yourself gently to your breath, to your body, to your posture, to number 1. So let's start. Take 5 breaths. This is an exercise in just letting everything go and beginning again. Not just on solstice on December 21st or on New Year's on January 1st, but beginning again any given day, any given moment. So, returning to the sermon, there we go. I'd like to propose considering renewal, this beginning again on a micro level. The meditation we just did came from an article called Starting Over Again by Taylor Plimpton. And in it he writes, reality is created and destroyed around 70,000 times each second. The Higgs boson, or the God particle, as it's known, which is considered the building block of the universe, it lasts, and let me get this right, it lasts only a millionth of a millionth of a millionth of a millionth of a second, taking tiny, ferociously fast loops into and out of existence so that the universe is continuously being reborn in every moment. Everything changes, everything passes, yes, but this also means that life is in a near constant state of refreshing in itself, and in so doing, suggesting that we can do the same, be in a near constant state of refreshing ourselves. Yes, we are offered beginning after beginning after beginning. The moment at hand right now, forever a truly clean slate to do with as we please. That's what Taylor Plimpton wrote. However, living in this constant rebooting, restarting mode, I don't think is necessarily a state of serenity. Here's the trick. There are implications when you do that, when you're restarting, that where we were was somehow bad and only where we're going is good, which is not true, and it's actually a harmful thought in and of itself. So, as we did in the first meditation, instead of restarting, which we always will be doing, by resting in the transitional space between breaths, I prefer to consider this state of elation that my daughter was in a transitional space, just like between breaths as well. It's a space simply moving from one moment to the next with anticipation and no judgment on the past or the future. That is the moment if we could rest in that moment over and over again. In fact, in reality, this origin point, that's our constant state of existence. Now, I also realize we're not all starting college next year, or we maybe not beginning anything really exciting for that matter. And there are countless people in the world that are actively suffering, far from even the vicinity of the privilege that things like higher education offers. Many people suffering beyond what I can know. So when Taylor Plimpton writes that we start with a clean slate every moment, I would add caveats that the clean slate doesn't exist on a level playing field in this world, unfortunately. And also there are people in very different and often challenging mental and emotional states. So this resting at one, this renewing is very difficult. So I'm not proposing today that the ability to find this elusive, wondrous feeling is, I've described, this serenity to be accepting in every moment is even possible, is even achievable. It isn't. However, I'm going to be a bit presumptuous today and guess that the audience I'm speaking to now does have certain privileges and opportunities, whether it's due to your social location or just the fact that we are living in this country as opposed to North Korea, for instance. I'm going to point out that one of those privileges that we all have here today is the ability to belong to a beloved community like Emerson, where we can be supported, where we can be validated. It's a blessing. It is a privilege. So, the suggestion I will make today is that when we are confronted with a moment of angst, or two, or many, as we have been recently, to refocus ourselves on our blessings and the ability to focus and that focus provides, let me start this over again. Focus on our blessings, because I want to get it right, and the ability that that focus provides to begin anew in the next moment. Most importantly, please rest in that space in between moments to recharge and reboot. As Taylor Plimpton puts it in the conclusion of the article, to be focused on getting back to one is to miss the point that one is right here. In conclusion, I have a UU version of a religious prediction for you today, rather than a dire or apocalyptic warning sometimes presented. It is this: my prayer, my wish, is not only for the serenity to accept the things we cannot change and the things we cannot know, but also the serenity that comes from resting, indeed truly living in each moment, knowing that, knowing that the beginning is near. Our next hymn is Bright Morning Stars. Please join Hap and Mia. I've written some new verses, but you'll see them on the screen, so you can follow along there. Thank you. That's Mia Forbes and Hap Palmer singing. Thank you so much. And Kevin Matthey, is that pronounced, on the piano. And in the tech booth, I'd like to thank David Early and Adam Neisenholtz and Philip. And I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't know your last name, Philip, but I know your name is Philip. So thank you all for that. Oh, Koretsky. I got it, thank you. So thank you to everyone for being here, for being online, for participating in this service, for the amazing music. Thank you, Linda Fitzgerald, of course, my wonderful worship associate. I'd just like to say just a few words about our current hybrid services. I know a lot of people are concerned right now, and Emerson is constantly reviewing the situation based on the latest guidelines and data, and has to make a lot tough choices. At the beginning of the pandemic, all of us, we were attempting to cope with what was assumed would be a temporary challenge. We've now shifted focus, and we're learning how to cope with positivity with what is likely an ongoing endemic. Today, I'm only here after having been vaccinated and boosted, as all of you, as well as testing negative 2 days ago. And I'm wearing 2 masks, a 3-ply and a cloth, and I'll be wearing a K95 as soon as it arrives. And I've also left my mask on. Usually we take them off when we're speaking during the service, and I've asked others to do the same. This is slightly different than our protocol, even just last month, and guidelines may and likely will change over time. So please keep an eye on the e-blast and on the website. Guidelines will always put compassion and safety first, and I know you all will do the same as well. So thank you very much for working with us in this trying time. Nobody should be shamed for either wanting to attend from their home or attend in person. It's both valid and very important as they're comfortable. And that is why our services will be hybrid now, both live and available via streaming platform. And I just want to say that we do mourn with those who have lost their lives, who have lost ones during this pandemic, and send hopes for quick and full recovery to those who are sick. Thank you all for holding each other in and with strength and empathy as we work through this challenging time together within this beloved community. I'm going to extinguish the chalice with the words of the prophet ancestor and the famous actor and the amazing human being Sidney Poitier, who died recently at 94 years old. Sidney Poitier said, "I've reduced the concept of my existence by saying, I truly, truly try to be better tomorrow than I was today." And I mean better as simply a better human being, not a better actor, not a better anything, but just a better human being. That will please me well. And when I die, I will not be afraid of having lived. Thank you. Oh, we have someone raising their hand.
That's me, Louise. For those of you who are here, in case you didn't notice, next week will be Zoom only. Oh, right. We're taking a week too. It will be, Brian Nelson has invited someone who's in Philadelphia to come and will speak, and so it will be well worth your time.
We're going to have a rabbi, interestingly. I have a Jewish, aren't we? I believe so. I come from a Jewish background as well, so I'm very interested in hearing what the rabbi has to say. So please join us online. Thank you, Louise, and thank you for being the guardian of the door. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.